Well, I think you summed it up well in your headline. It was a very strong year for us. The 3.8% organic number you mentioned was our strongest growth in nearly a decade. On top of that, we had a little bit of benefit from accretive M&A, so our total growth bumped up against 7%. And then we converted that nicely in EPS growth, which was up nearly 18%. So the results right now are strong. And as you mentioned, our order growth is also quite encouraging, 11% last year. So we juxtapose that with worsening macro forecasts that we heard on your show earlier this morning. So we're not dismissive of that. But right now, we carry pretty good momentum.
Yeah, which is really exciting given how gloomy so many people seem to be at the moment in the business community about prospects from here on in. What about the cost side of the operation? Very interested to hear how you're feeling the inflation pressure at the moment.
Yeah, like anyone, we're feeling it. There's certainly pressures both on the raw material inflation side as well as wages. But Smiths has a couple structural advantages that help us navigate that. First is over time, we've architected our supply chains with a local for local design. So we try to source locally, manufacture locally, and sell locally. So we're not exposed to the same sort of transcontinental supply chain challenges as some others. And then secondly, we have a high value business model. So we're able to capture price at the same time that we absorb inflation. Both in the first half of this year and for the full year, we fully covered our raw material and wage inflation with our own price increases. So, inflation works both ways. It works on the cost side, but it also works on the revenue side.
Well, let me look at this historically. I know you've not been in place to try and change things all that long, but for instance, I've got an old watch. It's a beautiful old timepiece. It's called a W10. I don't know if you're aware of the Smiths W10, but it's the last British-made mechanical watch. Are you wearing it as well?
It's a beautiful the same timepiece. It is a handsome timepiece.
It's a beautiful old watch, and it's not particularly expensive or anything, but it was at a time when Smiths weren't stuck, and as one reporter put it, stuck in a loop of mediocrity as well. How are you going to get Smiths back to the days when you produced such great goods as the W10 and out of this loop of mediocrity?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's actually the reason I joined Smiths. I've known the company for decades. It's been in the same industrial peer group as my previous employers. And I got to be honest, I had the same observation as you just had. How could such a fundamentally strong company that's been around for 171 years and has had a hand in most of the most interesting technological advancements of the UK, if not, Europe, how could it be so inconsistent in its performance? And that's why I joined the company, and that's why I see such a big opportunity. If we can grow a little bit quicker, execute a little bit better, we can close that gap between our performance and our vast potential. And I think over the last 5 quarters, you see that. That's now 5 straight quarters of growth, generally accelerating. As I just mentioned, our best full year of organic growth in a decade. And on top of that, we returned 661 million pounds of cash to shareholders. So the thesis, early days, touch wood, but the thesis, if you perform better, your valuation increases, seems to be holding.